Hello and welcome to video 2 of Rewiring Your Brain for Happiness. I'm Kimberly Johnson. You guys know me, but if you don't and you're finding this video, beautiful. So today we're going to talk about thoughts. We're going to talk about the thinking mind. And I want to start by just having you close your eyes for a second. And you can just get into a comfortable posture, letting your eyes shut down. To maybe take a few deep breaths. And then I want you to begin counting your thoughts. So see if you can count your thoughts as they arise. And if you're having the thought, I'm not having thought, that's a thought. But I'm going to fall silent for like 30 seconds and I just want you to count how many thoughts you have. Take a deep breath. So I counted 12. I don't know how many you counted. But in just that short amount of time, I had 12 thoughts. I heard a bird. I thought about the bird. I heard the noise of the heater turn on. So that was there. I was having a thought about like what I was going to say next. Like a lot of thoughts, 12 thoughts in about 30 seconds, right? Probably more than that. But I just couldn't count them all. So, and I want you to think, like, how many did I have? And just say it. And so the point is that, the other question I have before I move on is how many of you chose what you were going to think about? Like, I didn't choose for the bird to arise. I didn't choose for the bird to chirp. And then I didn't choose to really even think about it. It just happened. Bird chirped. I started thinking about it. Like, oh, that's a really pretty sound. Right? Like I didn't choose to really have that thought. Or I didn't choose to start thinking about the heater noise. Or I didn't choose to start thinking about what I was going to say next. Right? So thoughts arise on their own. It's this phenomena that the brain creates 16,000. That's a low ball. Some people say 20,000. But 16,000 thoughts a day. And they're just popping up. They're just arising. Kind of like bubbles in a soapy water. You don't choose where the bubbles pop up. They just pop up. Right? They're just popping up all the time. But how we relate to thoughts is we have a thought. Like, let's pretend. We'll use my story. I'm a bad person. I have the thought. Like something happens and I have the thought, oh, I'm a bad person. I can't believe I just did that. Thoughts. But what happens is we don't relate to them like thoughts. We relate to them like they're true. Like I am a bad person. Or like something I did was wrong. Instead of just beginning to notice, oh, I'm having thoughts. I'm having thoughts that I'm a bad person. I'm having thoughts that I did something wrong. Very different experience than thinking, I'm a bad person. I did something wrong. And then thinking, oh, I'm having thoughts that I'm a bad person. I'm having thoughts that I did something wrong. And this is very important to distinguish because as you work toward any goal in life, as you work toward anything in life, you're going to have lots of thoughts. And a big portion of them are going to be negative. Because in the brain, we have a thing called the negativity bias. And this is a biological thing. It's normal. Every human being has it. Literally, our brain's job is to look for the negative. You know why? Survival. If your brain can find all the negative things that could occur, guess what? It is starting to prepare you for whatever negative could occur to keep you safe, to keep you alive and safe. It's its job. Its job is to keep you safe. And it does a really great job. We have lots of negative thoughts. You have a body pain, right? It's like your brain goes all to the negative. Oh no, maybe I hurt my knee. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe my autoimmune disease is flaring up. Like, right? Like we go to worst case scenario, the brain. Instead of being like, oh, thoughts about this are arising. And then being with the actual reality. Okay, what's going on in my knee? Right? So this is a different practice as freedom circles, but the same. What's occurring in reality? I'm having knee pain. What's occurring in my mind? Oh, something bad is wrong. Like something is actually wrong. I need to go to the doctor. It's an emergency, right? Like whatever the brain starts doing. So we can begin noticing thoughts and labeling thoughts. One of the things that I really want you to get out of this program is that you are not your thoughts. You are not 16,000 different things. You are not the 16,000 thoughts that run through your brain. And if you actually begin watching your thoughts and writing them down, you'll see that you have, like, in Buddhism, they call it like the top 10 playlist. You have a grouping, a top 10, a grouping of thoughts that reoccur over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the patterning, right? I'm a bad person. It occurs over and over and over again. I've done something wrong. It occurs over and over and over again. Planning some future thing. Planning, that's a big one. A lot of people have planning. That's it's a top 10 playlist. Worry about something, top 10 playlist. I'm always worrying about my kids. I'm always worrying about my career. I'm always worrying about money, right? Top 10 playlist, but you have to begin watching your mind and noticing, okay, what thoughts am I actually having? What thoughts are here? What's occurring in my mind? And occurring, like being so curious about it, observing what's occurring up here instead of believing it. Thoughts about work are here. What are the thoughts? You can write them down. In fact, this week, your job is to catch all your thoughts, especially around your goal, your program, right, your project, or any thought that does not make you feel how you want to feel. So the Buddha describes thoughts like fruit in the grocery store. So you go into the grocery store, and there's apples, right? You go into the apples, and the Buddha says that thoughts are like all the apples that are at the grocery store. We have a bunch of thoughts, and there's a bunch of apples at the grocery store. And you're not going to go to the grocery store and feel an apple that's maybe like soft and has some bruise spots, and you're not going to be like, oh, I believe this apple, and you're going to put it in your cart, and you're going to go and pay for it, and you're going to like worship that apple. Kind of how you do with your thoughts. Like, I'm unworthy arises, and you begin to believe it, and you act it out. Like, I am bad, I am unworthy. You seclude yourself, you isolate, right? And what the Buddha says is that a thought is simply like a bruised apple. If you're in the grocery store and you touch a bruised apple, you just pick it up. You're like, oh, it's bruised. No big deal. You don't get upset. You don't attach to it. You don't like hide it in your pocket and run out. No, you look at it. Oh, it's bruised. No problem. Set it aside. Search for a crispier apple. And our thoughts are like that too. There's 16,000 a day. You have to choose and take responsibility for the thoughts that you're picking, putting into your cart, and buying and taking home. You have to be responsible for the thoughts that you're believing, that you're repeating to yourself. And how you do that is you begin noticing the thoughts that are arising. And then just like you notice the thoughts arising, is that a bruised thought or is that a crispy thought? Do I want to take that thought home? Do I want to buy it? Would I spend money on it? Or do I want to put it aside? And you really begin practicing it like that. Oh, I'm having thoughts that my boss hates me. That's a bruised apple. That's not a thought that I want to like carry with me. Set it aside. Okay, what's a crispier apple? Well, maybe my boss is having a rough day. Here's the key with crispier apples. It opens you up to compassion. It opens you up to presence. It opens you up to truth. Crispy apples or skillful thoughts have you show up in the world how you want to show up in the world. Bruised apples, bruised thoughts, unskillful thoughts Have you show up in the world how you don't want to show up in the world? You can almost guess, if you're showing up in the world how you don't want to, that you're believing some bruised thoughts. No problem. We all do it. No problem. When you go into the grocery store and there's bruised fruit, you don't get upset about it. No problem. They exist. No problem. Set them aside. Begin to notice them. Just like you feel in the store for apples, feel in your mind. Begin to get to know each thought. And that's your job for the week. Really, really honing in. Really, really, like it is your job to watch your thinking, to label your thoughts as thoughts. This is a thought. If you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling overwhelmed or caught up in something, I want you to go to your mind. Okay, what am I believing? What thoughts am I having right now? What am I believing about myself? What am I believing about the other person? What am I believing about my life? And then write it out. See the thoughts that are at play. It's like picking fruit. And when you go after something in your life, when you do a program like this, you're going to have lots of thoughts, especially around your project. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. This is harder than I thought. This is like maybe not worth my time. Whatever the thoughts are, they're just thoughts. We spend our life controlled by our thoughts, some random 16,000 thoughts a day. You wake up in the morning, you've set your alarm to go to the gym, your brain says, I don't want to, and you believe it and you hit your phone off instead of continuing to keep your word to yourself. So the thoughts, recognizing, oh, I'm just having a thought I don't want to. Okay, it's just a thought, right? You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And this is where we're going to play with, so picking a fruit, right? So you can begin to pick more true thoughts or more skillful thoughts, or pick crispy apples, right? And we're going to create like a mantra for your project. So if you're working on anxiety, your mantra might be, I am not an anxious person. I just at times experience anxious thinking. I'm not an anxious person. Just at times anxiety arises. Or if you're working on a business, my experience is worth lots of money. What I bring to the table is my knowledge and my experience, my years of experience. Or if you're working on your relationship, right? Maybe the mantra is, we are connected. We are listening to each other. We are in this together. We are bound together. Anything is possible and capable when we are bound together, walking hand in hand. You choose whatever your mantra is. And you begin, if you noticed a bruised apple arises, if you noticed an unskillful thought arises, oh, there it is. There's the unskillful thought. You can even name the unskillful thoughts. I use Becky. Becky is my favorite. Oh, Becky's here. She's telling me I'm a bad person again. Hey, Becky. Right. We're also going to be playful and silly in this program because we don't need to take it so seriously. This matters because it's your life. It matters. But it's not serious. It's not serious. It matters. It's not serious. We can be playful and go after our goals. We can be playful and complete things and go after things. They can coexist. So mine's Becky. I'm like, Becky's here. She's telling me about I'm a bad person again. Hey, Becky. Right? And then I can go into my mantra. I am whole, complete, and perfect, just as I am. I am whole, complete, and perfect, just as I am. You see the bruised fruit. You have awareness of it. And then you choose to start repeating something else. You choose to pick a crispier apple. It is your responsibility to choose the thoughts you let in your mind, in your heart, and in your life. So that's your practice for this week. Thoughts. catching your thoughts, writing down all your thoughts, labeling things as thoughts. Oh, that's just a thought. You're like driving, somebody cuts you off and you're like, oh, what a jerk. And you know that you're believing it and you're just like, and you're like, oh wait, I'm just having thoughts. What am I believing right now? What am I believing? Oh, I'm believing he's a jerk. Okay, what's a crispier apple? Maybe his wife just got placed in the hospital. Who knows, right? Crispier. Crispier. Remember, you know you're choosing crispier thoughts when it has you show up compassionately and presently. Okay? Happy second week of the program. Thoughts, 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 thoughts. Catch them. Label them. Choose crispier ones. Okay, have fun.